Hello there. Thanks for joining me today on the television program today on Dr. Teach Me to Parent. And I'm glad you're with us. And today we have a little different approach to it. You know, we've been doing this now for over a year. So what I'd like to do today is just kind of take the year in review and kind of look at some of the topics that we've covered over the past year, those that have had good viewership, those that have promoted some response and people write me or comment on, and some of those that have attracted certain degrees of attention. So I'd like to kind of summarize some of those topics today as we look at our general topic of teaching us as parents to be better parents. But as I start every program, let me give you just a little quote, shall I? And kind of follow along with me on this one. The character of our children tomorrow is shaped by what they learn from us as parents today. You know, and today as we have this particular program going on at the same time simultaneously is the funeral of Barbara Bush. And as a parent, she's a lady to read about. She's a lady to know. She's a lady to learn about and her parenting style. And I just commend her to you as a great woman of America, great first lady, but certainly a great mother and grandmother and great-grandmother. So we're just glad to be able to reflect on her just a little bit today, and I would just encourage you to do so. Okay, now today, before we really start kind of our review of the topics, I've asked the owner and producer of Central Valley Talk to join us, Mike Briggs, and just to kind of give us a little comment about our program over the past year and how this kind of fits into your scheme of programming.
Well, first, congratulations on a year.
Thank you.
I mean, we do have quite a few shows now that have lasted more than a year, but most of them don't, because it takes a lot of planning, preparation. You always have fresh ideas. You're never improvising it, and to keep up that kind of intensity for a year is a lot of work. I know.
It is, but that's fun.
Yeah. And you know, at Central Valley Talk, we have a saying, we celebrate what's good about Fresno, what's good about the valley, and what's good about the state, and certainly your show is. And I have been a father. I kind of still fathering, I guess, even though my kids.
You know, I always think about that. You know, as I give the program, I should be teaching you a little bit more, maybe more as a grandfather or whatever.
Not grandfather yet. I'm way too young for that.
Well, you'll come.
But my kids are adults now, but they're still under my wing and going to see the last one.
You never stop being a parent.
I guess
never.
Not. Well, they're kind of taking over the role for me.
Well,
I'm going to see the last one graduate from NYU grad school this next week. And they took over and they got my ticket and they're arranging my travel and how I'm getting there, how to dress, what to put in my luggage.
Wow.
It's kind of reversed. But I enjoy watching your show each week, and you're talking about how to parent. And, you know, I hear a lot of things that say, well, I did that, but I wish I would have heard him say it, you know, before I was a parent, because I'm always questioning, am I doing the right thing and saying the right thing? So,
you know, I guess in a sense we never stop being a parent, but you can always learn. And even though you didn't do certain things when your children were young, you can kind of reflect on them, but also you can do them now. Or you can say some of the things now, or you can use it as a teaching point.
Yeah, and my favorite line of yours, and I forget how it goes, but, you know, it takes 10 good things.
Oh, yes.
How does it go?
Take 10 good compliments for every one criticism.
Every one criticism, right?
Yeah,
So,
and that's the average.
Right.
I mean, some children need 15 compliments to every one criticism or correction, if you will, and some maybe it's 5 to 1. But the average is somewhere between 7 and 10 corrections or compliments and positive notes for every one correction that you make to them.
to rebuild the tearing down you did.
That's right.
I worked really hard when my kids are growing up to just to bite my tongue. They come in with a crazy hair or something.
Oh, yeah,
In my
yes.
mind, I just say, it'll grow back.
You know, our kids do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, different color shoes,
Yeah.
you know, color hair. And one of our kids went to Bullard High School and was sent home because he went with a little colored hair one day. He was sent home and had to wash his hair and come back to school.
Well,
That's what they did.
Well, there's consequences.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, we always have, what's the phrase? We always have freedom of speech, freedom of expressing ourselves. But there's always a consequence to that in some way. People, you know, have their reactions, and you're not free of those.
Yeah, and I have friends who have piercings here and here and here and here, and they come to me and say, I just can't find a job. I said, well, There's consequences.
There's consequences to that.
You enjoy your own looks, but you got to be prepared for the consequences.
That's right. I have a secretary that she's been with me for a number of years, and one day the opportunity presented itself, and I just said to her, I says, Gina, I says, you put a tattoo on, you're out of here. Well, that's my office policy.
Yeah,
okay.
no tattoos.
No, she wouldn't do that anyway. That would not be her. But she said to me, she said, well, what if I put it somewhere where you can't see it? I said, you're still out of here because it's an attitude. And I don't like that attitude. And that attitude doesn't belong in my office. Right. And that's kind of my policy. But I think that's what we have to kind of decide. You can do it if you want, but then there's a consequence to it.
Yeah.
And you have to figure that out.
Well, I have a funny story. Friday the 13th last week, my son comes in and shows me his newest tattoo.
Oh.
And I'm going, I don't say it's great. I don't say compliment him. I just, that's interesting. And I said, well, where'd you get that? And he goes, oh, don't tell Mom. I go, well, it's Grandma you got to worry about. He goes, no, don't tell Mom is the name of the studio where I got it.
Oh, I said the studio. Oh, I see. I didn't know that, yeah.
Don't tell Mom.
Don't tell Barbara Bush.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, my goodness.
She'd
be enforcing that.
She'd enforce that one, wouldn't she? Say, as a father of now mature children, what's the one or two things that you would tell parents watching today, that they really should pay close attention to and give consideration to and make part of their parenting process?
Well,
pass on a little advice.
Yeah, I would say talk from the day they're born as if college is, when you get to college.
Oh, yes.
Start looking at colleges and taking trips to colleges throughout their entire life. And don't think that state university or junior college, which I went to both, don't think that has to be the answer, because once they get there and they apply to the bigger colleges, and they get accepted, that college will help your kid get in.
Yeah, I like that idea, because what it does is it puts value on education. And it's not so much when you talk about college to a kid who's in elementary school, but it gives that message that education is a long-term process. Take it seriously, do well, plan ahead, make it part of your life, and enjoy it, but do well.
And also, don't be critical of your kids all the time. It would be
so easy.
So easy. You could do it every 2 minutes. Stop that, stop that, stop that, and just get the nurturing environment and set the example yourself. Don't choose,
relax a little bit sometimes.
Don't choose a bar over the family, or don't drink in front of your kids, or drugs in front of your kids. You're setting the ultimate example for them, whatever you do.
Well, I said the character of our children tomorrow is shaped by what they learn from us today.
That's right.
And so if you behave a certain way, you're teaching them that behavior. Is that the behavior you want them to engage in for the rest of their life? If that's what you want, then you're going to do that. But you can't behave in front of your kids in a certain way and then say, well, don't do that the rest of your life. Don't behave like that. That's a mixed message.
Don't smoke like I smoke.
Yeah, it's a mixed message. It doesn't make any sense at all. In fact, it even encourages it to happen. It's more likely to happen.
More likely, yes.
Yeah. But I like your comment, though, regarding don't be so critical. I mean, we get uptight as parents. We get worried, that our kid has a temper tantrum or plays in the sports, plays in Little League and gets mad over something that happened. We get all tight about that, and just relax. It's part of development. It's part of the brain and how the brain develops. It's part of a child learning how to cope with life. It's part of the learning process. You use it as a teaching point.
Well, in a day, you could get criticisms from the TV's too loud, or you're watching the wrong show, or your room's a mess, and this and that, and you're eating too loud. You could go all day criticizing them, but I think leading from the example, and I taught my kids how to eat potato chips. You don't grab a chip and go, you put it in your mouth, close your mouth, and then begin chewing. Same as a movie theater. You don't crunch the popcorn with your mouth open. You put it in your mouth, close your mouth, and chew. You can make them fun moments, but these are things. I have adults who come in here to work, and I have to teach them how to eat. But it'd be easy every minute to.
Their parents missed that whole point of teaching them how to eat in public.
That you could criticize your kids from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, but more. Point them in the direction, and as they're going in the direction, say, good job, good job, good job. So
yeah. Hey, thanks for your comments today, and thanks for joining us. And we're glad to be part of the family here at Central Valley Talk, and
we hope you have another year.
Parenting part of it. We
want
for the next year now, and in fact, we're into our second year, and we have some plans as to developing a little bit more interviews and bringing people on that can really teach us parenting from their own personal experience and from their own life experience. we can learn from each other. We can learn from the experts, but we can also learn from our peers, our other parents and other grandparents and people who are going through very special times in their life and difficult times in their life, and how they learn from those to become a better parent. We always try to avoid the negative influences and the negative events in our life and trauma, but we learn from them. We become better. We become better parents, become better people, we become better professionals, better teachers, better whatever. So opportunities there.
Right. And I want to say before we leave that tune in on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Dr. Teach Me to Parent. But something we got into just since you started here is you don't have to watch it live anymore. There's YouTube and there's podcasts, and it's out there. It doesn't end at 11 a.m. Saturday.
That's right. And it's on every Saturday, and it's on YouTube. And every
repeats,
program is on YouTube.
And it repeats here on Central Valley Talk a few times throughout the week. So just watch and learn to parent. Dr. Hedberg will teach you to parent.
Hey, thanks.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. We'll take a little break now and come back in a few minutes.
A dentist who has a passion for superior aesthetics and comfort, you need Dr. Christopher Wong with Cedar North Dental. Call 559-432-4948 or visit cedarnorthdental.com. Fresno Rescue Mission's Rescue the Children program is a protected, secure environment providing emergency and long-term services to women at risk, abused, homeless, previously incarcerated, and women with children. The community provides women and their children a place to get away from destructive lifestyles, offering a place to heal, learn, and grow. Give to the Fresno Rescue Mission today.
Hey! Try to close the club.
Tanya, come here.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Kitchen in my hometown.
It's not about learning the right steps.
4,
or making contact.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's not about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about taking steps to greatness. About making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen has what it takes. It's about people in our clubs who bring out the greatness in every kid who enters our doors. It's not just about being on stage. It's about walking across it. Great futures start here, and here, and here.
Sat7 is a Christian media network that uses uncensored satellite television to broadcast across the Middle East and North Africa, and is also available globally online.
CentralValleyTalk.com
All right, thanks for coming back and joining us now on the continuation of our program, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. And as I said earlier, we are now into our second year of programming. And so today I'm just taking some general topics that have come to the attention of a lot of people and have been appreciated. And I've gotten feedback and questions and comments and good viewership on some of these topics. So I thought I'd just kind of pull some summary together in the area of Dr. Teach Me to Parent and parenting skills, and something that it would be good for you to learn and good for you to kind of remember and just kind of focus on. So here's what I'd like to start out with. It's all about kids. It's all about kids. And here's the thing about parents. Let me give you 4 real quickies, okay? Enjoy your kids, build memories with your kids, create traditions, with your kids, and build a family legacy. That's all about kids. As a parent and as a family, your kids are the focus point. And I want you to enjoy them and appreciate them, and that they enjoy you and appreciate you as parents, and that there's a bond that occurs between you. And that you have memories that you have built over the years, places you've been, things you've done, people that you have met, lessons that you've learned together, times you've cried together, times you've laughed together. Build memories like that. Make sure that you remember them and you repeat them and you reflect back on them. And then also, create traditions. The 4th of July. What is your family tradition? The week before school starts in August, what's your family tradition? At the end of a school year, what's your family tradition? What do you do as a way of celebrating certain events and certain times on the calendar and certain times in your family life? How you celebrate birthdays, how you celebrate anniversaries, how you celebrate special events, how you celebrate when the kid gets an A and gets a good score on a test or whatever it might be. What's your tradition? How do you recognize and celebrate those kind of occasions? Build these kind of memories and build these kind of traditions with your family. And then make sure there's a legacy. What is the pattern of your family down through the years? Have you had a legacy of healthcare? Have different people in your family, extended family, been in healthcare, doctors and nurses and physical therapists and speech therapists and so on? Is there a legacy of healthcare? Or is there a legacy of religious training? There's a legacy of education. What is the legacy that you as a family have established and laid down from one generation to the next, and then on to the next? Can you trail that? Can you somehow see the pattern of a legacy coming down through your family? I hope you can, because that's very important. So those are really 4 very, very important points when it comes to the making kids the important part of your life. But let me go on and say the 5th one is this. It's self-esteem. Your children need to establish their own sense of value, their own sense of importance, their own sense of identity. That's self-esteem. And you can't give them self-esteem. You can't build that into them. But you can provide them opportunities to accomplish. You can build them opportunities to establish themselves as a successful person, as someone who achieves, who accomplishes. And because you achieve and accomplish, you develop a self-esteem. You develop that sense that I'm good, or I'm capable, or I'm competent. And that's self-esteem. You can't just pat a kid on the back or pat a kid on the head and say, I hope that you develop self-esteem. That's not how it's done. Help your child succeed. Help your child achieve. Give your child recognition for any and all achievement. And when you do that, self-esteem will come along and will be developed in a very positive, kind of way. So self-esteem is important. Build it over time. It's progressive. It just is giving a child a sense of who they are and the purpose for which they're alive, the purpose for which they are a member of your family, and the value that they have for you in your family. That's self-esteem, okay? But then let me give you another one. Number 6, make sure your kids develop a social perception of themselves that's accurate. An accurate social perception of themselves. See, it's important that a child thinks of themselves in a positive way. That's important. But what's more important, infinitely more important, is that your child develops that sense that other people think well of them. That's what's an important key in the development of a child's life. Help the child know that other people think well of them. Have other people tell your child what they think of your child, or you as a family. You tell your child what you've heard and what people have said about your kids. Pass that on. You want your children to have a positive sense of how other people view them and what other people think of them. And when you can do that, you've done your job as a parent. You've developed self-esteem, but you've developed this sense of social perception that your child knows that he's a good person and that he believes that other people think also that he's a good person and a valued person in their life and has meaning for them, as well. And then lastly, let me just add this one point. Kids need to develop social intelligence. Social intelligence. We're born with a level of cognitive intelligence. Some children are very bright. Some children are average. Some children are a little bit above average. Some children are a little bit below average. Some children are very much below average. We have this cognitive intelligence that we're kind of born with, and we develop that a little bit. But basically, that's a fixed level of intelligence that comes from birth. It comes from the genetic backgrounds of parents and so on. But there's another intelligence that's also important, and that's what we call emotional intelligence. That's learned. It's social intelligence. It's learned. You learn how to be sensitive to the feelings of others. You learn how to have empathy for others. You learn how to be responsible and take tasks and follow them through and be persistent and to be capable of bringing something from start to finish. We learn how to be self-reliant and independent. We learn how to make decisions. We learn how to express our feelings to others and to have passion for things. We learn how to calm ourselves down, to bring about a calmness within ourselves when we're excited or when we're mad or we're upset. We learn how to control anger. We learn how to control those strong emotions of anger and disgust for other people and for things that have happened in our life. You see, emotional intelligence is a very, very powerful tool to develop as a child, and it's your job as a parent to help your children develop that sense of emotional intelligence and to make sure that they live with that feeling of compassion, that sense of caring for others, being aware of the needs of others, being able to respond to the needs of others, being able to rise above the criticisms and the nonsense that goes on in the day and live according to values, live according to what's right and not do what is wrong. Help your child have that sense of social adjustment, social value and social intelligence, social smartness, if you will. Some people call it street smarts. And that's how to just relate to people around you, relate to others in your life in a very positive and a very effective kind of way. So it's all about kids. And there are some points. There are 7 points that's important as a parent, just to summarize why kids are important and how you can make them important in your life and how you can make them important in your family and help children feel their sense of importance, feel their sense of value, and believe in themselves and believe in the people around them, that people around them believe in them too. So we'll take a break and come on back in a few minutes, okay?
Hey there, world. I'd like to introduce you to someone really special and really cool. This is my mom. My mom is an amazing person. She is a writer. She is a newly transplanted Texan. She is a woman of faith and she loves 80s music. She also is a person with a very rare genetic muscular disorder called Pompe disease.
Pompe disease is a terminal, progressive illness. It's a genetic enzyme deficiency which ultimately leads to the destruction of your skeletal muscles. Those are the muscles that control how you move, your arms, your legs, and your torso. When your jaw or esophageal muscles are affected, you can no longer eat and require a feeding tube. When your diaphragm is impacted, you can't breathe on your own any longer and require a trach ventilator. When your legs are impacted, you will no longer be able to walk without assistance. You can lose bladder and bowel control. It affects children and adults, and eventually it kills you. It is rare, but it's real.
Now, we're lucky. My mom's still able to walk, though she uses a cane to get around most of the time. She's still able to breathe unassisted, but she can't go upstairs, and she needs some kind of assistance to get up from a seated position, like if she's sitting in a chair. She has to examine every activity ahead of time to know if there are things like handicapped parking, accessible buildings, and even functional bathrooms. All of her activities depend heavily on the weather. A windy day can be just as dangerous as an icy one. She jokes that you can tell what kind of day she's having by whether she can lift her arms high enough to do her hair. And she recently moved into a one-story house specifically with the idea that she's one day going to need a wheelchair to get around. Those are the kind of things she has as everyday concerns. Her normal everyday fears are things like dropping her keys or falling in public and not being able to get up. That actually happened a couple of years ago. She fell and fractured her pelvis because she was unable to break her fall.
I receive an enzyme replacement therapy every 2 weeks for life. It's a 6-hour IV. It helps slow the progression of the disease, but it is not a cure. And it costs about $100,000 every time you sit in a chair. Insurance takes care of most of that if you're lucky, but not everyone is, and the expenses add up very quickly. Things like wheelchairs, accessible vehicles, special housing, travel costs to medical conferences, doctor's appointments, and clinical trials. Luckily, there is a group that helps families with Pompe handle these costs. The United Pompe Foundation is a group connecting funds with real people who need help. This was founded by a father whose son has Pompe disease, and they could not find the resources that they needed. They assist patients and their families with medical costs and other expenses that they need to survive day to day. Every little bit helps.
There are a lot of things in life that we really take for granted, and sometimes the scariest things in the world are the things that you can't see. So today we're asking for you to help us shed a little light on a rare and scary disease. Please share this video with your friends, your family, strangers, anybody that you come across. Education is a big thing, it makes a big difference, and another way to make a really huge difference in someone's life is to go check out the United Pompe Foundation. Their website is in this video description. Click on it, check it out, and go ahead and donate some money if you're able to. Again, this is an organization giving real help to real people who are amazing and need it, like my mom. I love her, and thank you so much for helping us out. Thank you so much.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
All right, thanks for rejoining us today on our program, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Remember, I'm taking my book, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. We've been working on this book all year and taking different segments of it and bringing to you the topics that are important as parents. And hopefully from hopefully from this book and from our discussions, you learn to have a higher quality of parenting yourself, and your skills are much better and stronger they are today than they were a year ago. And whether you've watched only one program or you've watched many, whether you're new to this program or you've been watching it over the last year, I trust that parenting skills become an important part of your life, and you learn more and you practice and you implement the parenting skills that we've been talking about. So in the first segment, we talked here today about kids. It was all about kids. But what I'd like to do now is just say, it's also about parents. Parents are the key factor. Kids become what we are as parents. And kids become as we parent our children. So it's a parenting process. And we as parents play the critical role. And there are some things that as a parent you really need to learn how to do. And you need to learn how to behave. And you need to learn how to exercise. And once you do that, you are in a stronger position then to help your children in their life struggles as they grow and as they mature and as they interact with the world in which they live. And there are some learned behaviors that are important as a parent. Let me give you just a kind of a list of them. And from the context that you have to know this, that parents are the first teachers that a child ever has. So children as they go on to school are going to have lots of different teachers, but you are the first. And what you need to know is how to communicate. Your communication skills need to improve yourself as a parent, because your communication skills will teach a child how to communicate. If you have poor skills, your child is going to have poor communication skills. If you don't talk, if you keep things within yourself, you don't share, you don't reflect, you don't ask questions, you don't answer questions, your children are going to be the same. They're not going to be an interactive kind of a child in the environment in which they live. So as a parent, you have to learn how to communicate and open your mouth and share and tell the story. Tell your story. Tell your feelings. Tell your ideas. Tell your values. Tell your attitudes. Express them. Also, you have to know as a parent how to handle conflict. Remember, we've talked about that. Conflict is true in the life of a child. All children have conflict. They have conflict with siblings, they have conflict with peers, they have conflict with you as parents, and they have conflict with grandparents. Kids have conflict. So as a parent, you have to learn how to handle conflict, how to resolve conflict, how to deal with conflict, how to settle it, and not run from it, not avoid it, not back off from it. Make conflict part of your life so that you can learn how to deal with conflict and resolve it in a positive and effective way. That's number 2. Number 3 is this. Always emphasize the importance of education to your kids. Always talk about their school, their grades, their teacher, their work, their assignments, their projects. Be interested in them. Visit the school. Know the teacher. Know the school grounds. Know their peers. Know their classmates. Talk about the future of education. Talk about their future in education. Make education a very, very important part of your life as a parent. Fathers, the same. Mothers, the same. Grandparents, yes. The more people in the life of your child that is education-oriented and supportive, the more likely your child will do well in education and the more that he will become educated. Also, know how to set goals as a parent. Set goals for today. Set goals for the next week. Set goals for next month. Have a goal. Teach your children to set goals. When your child goes off to school in the morning, ask, what are you going to accomplish this morning? What are you going to try to do? What is the goal you're going to try to achieve today? Just small little steps, small little increments of improvement. So we start out with a goal-oriented day. And then at the end of the day, you can talk about it. How'd you do? Did you achieve your goal? Did you succeed in it? How'd you feel about that? How'd you handle the idea of goal pursuit? So make sure that becomes part of your life as a family, that there's always this idea of goal orientation and the pursuit of goals, okay? And then make sure that you express thanks. You express thanks to your kids. Thank them for everything they do. Thank them for everything they are. Thank them for everything they mean to you, everything they try to do, every little achievement, every little accomplishment, every little effort they put forth. It isn't a great deal of effort. It isn't great achievements. It's those small little steps that you appreciate and make sure that your life spreads the word of thanks to your kids. Just shower your kids with the words of thanks. Bring that upon them. Let them know that you appreciate and you value and that you have much gratitude for your children, for who they are and what they do and how they accomplish things and how they go about their life. Kids need to know this. And if you're going to criticize a child, as we said earlier today, if you're going to criticize your child, you have to pay for that in advance. You have to give that child at least 7 to 10 compliments or thank yous before you can give them a word of criticism or a word of correction. So make sure that your family life, that your parenting process, your interaction with your children is sprinkled with the word of thanks. Okay? Now, one other thing about parents, okay? And here's what very important. You have to understand some of the things that upset your kids. You need to know the events that your children experience as traumatic. Your children experience with great fear and have much anxiety and much depression about, so that you as a parent can help them resolve their anxiety, to settle their anxiety. You as a parent can help them become less depressed. You as a parent can help them become more confident and more approachable in their life. So what are the things that really bother kids and upset kids? You need to know what these are as a parent. Let me give you just 2 general themes, okay? Children are upset by the absence of a parent. when a child is absent, when a parent is absent, a child is under fear, experiences anxiety. And the more that a parent is absent, the longer a parent is absent, the more the child does not know the whereabouts of a parent, the more that child experiences fear and anxiety, and it can become a lifestyle. Particularly, the death of a parent is an extremely fearful and traumatic event, for a child. Separation and divorce of parents, very traumatic and very upsetting, to children. The prolonged absence of a parent, such as the father who goes out of town all week and works out of town and then comes home only on the weekend. That's prolonged absence. That creates fear in a child, because what's going to happen to dad when he's gone? What's going to happen to us when he's gone and we're not protected? Kids need the presence of their parents in their life. And if you have to be gone from your child's life for a period of time, connect with them through email, connect with them through texting, connect with them through the telephone, connect with them through various means of communication. But make sure that there's a communication that goes on so that there's this absence, that the absence is filled with contact and there is not a void, because otherwise kids become very anxious over that. The other thing about kids when they become very fearful and very upsetting is the unknown. What's going to happen to me? When parents divorce, the child always asks, what's going to happen to me? When a parent remarries, the child asks, what's going to happen to me? When a parent is fired at work or has unemployment periods of time, a child asks, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to us? Are we going to have food? Are we going to have clothing? Are we going to have a house to live in? When there's a change in any kind of context of family life, your financial status or work schedule or whatever, kids always ask the question, what's going to happen to me? How is this going to affect me? So when you have changes that take place in your life as a parent, tell the child and reassure the child that his or her life is going to go on and we're going to be living the life as we always have, in spite of the changes that are taking place. When there's a death or there's an absence of somebody's in the life of the child, help them be reassured. Help them fill that void as best you can by reassurance. So those are the things that upset kids and traumatize kids and give them great states of anxiety. So anticipate that as a parent and build in the answers to these kids' questions. What's going to happen to me? Always think that's what goes on in the child's mind, and answer that question way before the child even asks it, okay? Anticipate it and know that that's what's on the child's mind. Let's take a break. We'll come back in a few minutes.
The Green Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly, located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair-approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living and secured homes for elderly persons with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-307-0950 and visit GreenGablesCareHome.com.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
Do you need a locksmith? Layman's Lock and Safe Service and Repair is available for you. 559-228-1805.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son, Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010 and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
All right, thanks for coming back and joining us and Dr. Teach Me to Parent. You know, we've been at this now over a year, and the program is a little over a year old. We're into our second year, and we're into a process now of bringing together the ideas of good parenting with you as a parent, with you as a grandparent, and helping you become the most effective parent you can become, and your children become most successful as they can be. So make this part of your Saturday morning, every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, right here on Central Valley Talk. And otherwise, pick it up on YouTube. Central Valley Talk YouTube, or on Alan G. Hedberg YouTube. Pick it up and listen to some of the programs from the past that might be of help to you as you learn your skills of parenting. So make this part of your life and part of your learning experience, as a parent. Now, what I'd like to do is just kind of focus on family structure and family life. We've been talking about kids, we've been talking about parents, but let me just shed some light on this issue of family dynamics and family life in the home. We have this idea that there are homes that are very functional and there are homes that are very dysfunctional. And there's a difference between them, a great difference between them. And children that grow up in a functional home tend to do better in school. They tend to do better in their occupations later in life. They tend to do better in education. They go higher in education. They take more years of education, on into college and so on. They do better in their marriages. They do better in their occupations and their social relationships. Functional homes produce functional children, but dysfunctional homes produce dysfunctional children. And we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to minimize that. We're trying to change that so that you and your home can become more functional. How do you do that? Well, there's some very basic things you have to keep in mind, okay? Make sure you got your roles properly identified and you live them out correctly. There's a role for dad, there's a role for mother, and there's a role for the children, each of the children. They may have little different roles to play in the life of a family. Who makes decisions? Each has a chore. Which chores belong to which person? And hold them to that. In other words, there are roles in life that are to be assumed. And there's a head of the family. There's a decision-making process that goes on in the family. Who becomes part of that? Who plays into that decision-making role of the family? That's roles. So make sure that in your family, in your life or your home, everybody has a role, they know what it is, and they play it well, and they play it faithfully, and you structure it, you organize it, and you appreciate and you express your thanks when those roles are assumed. But there's also a second point, and that's priorities. Make sure that your priorities are right. There are certain priorities that are they just have to be. Parents make the decisions. Children do not make decisions. No home is run by a 3-year-old. No 8-year-old makes life decisions for parents. No 9-year-old makes decisions for a home. They may participate in the decision-making process, but the decision-making is made by dad and mom. And make sure that our decision-making is done within the context of what's in the best interest of the entire family. That's a value. So make sure that the roles are properly identified, make sure that we know what the priorities are in our family and what our values are, what we hold important, what we hold dear. What we hold is very, very important. Like telling the truth is important. Not lying, is important. Unity as a family is important. Doing things together as a family, that's very important. Those are the values of a family. We don't do things just separately. We don't eat separately. We don't just eat in our own rooms, and we don't eat in different rooms. We eat together as a family. We have a value of family bonding and a family togetherness. That's value, you see. So make sure that your roles are properly identified. You live by priorities. You live by values. And you have a clear understanding of what to do and what not to do as far as family is concerned. You don't do what everybody else does, that's for sure. You decide as a family what you do and what you do not do as a family. How you speak to each other, the kindness with which you speak to others, whether you allow criticism or not, whether you allow cussing or not, whether you have a modesty code or not, whether you have alcohol or drugs or tobacco in your home or not. These are things that you have to decide as a family and to know there's consequences with each of them. But you have to decide on what you're allowed to do and what you're allowed not to do. And that's what family life is all about. We set these boundaries. We set these boundaries and these barriers, and we set these rules by which we live. And when you do that as a family, you live more comfortably. You live more securely. You live more freely, but you have a happier life as a family. You live much happier as a family. When you have have your family lives well organized and what you expect of each other and how you treat each other and how you behave, towards each other. But I spoke about rules. Family life has rules. Every family has rules. The important thing is that a family has them written down. What's important is a family not only write them down, puts them on the refrigerator, puts them in the children's room, put them in various rooms of the house. There are rules to live by in every family. And what are your rules? If you don't have them, you need them. We live in a society of rules. You drive down the street and there are rules of what you do and what you don't do when you drive. When you're out in public, there are rules of what you do and you don't do. When you walk into a library, there are rules of what you do and you don't do. When you walk into a classroom, there are rules of what you do and what you don't do. And the same within your home. There are rules to live by. What are some of the rules? What are some of them? Well, let me just give you a sample. This comes from a family that wrote their rules, okay? If you sleep on it, make it up. If you wear it, hang it up. If you drop it, pick it up. If you eat from it, wash it. If you spill it, clean it up. If you open it, close it. If you emptied it, fill it. If it rings, answer it. If it howls, feed it. If it cries, comfort it. So, you see, simple rules. But a rule like that, or a set of rules like that, makes family life go smoothly. Everybody, dad, mom, grandparents, visitors, kids, all live by the rules of the home. It isn't the rules just for one child. It isn't room for two children. It isn't a room for mine. It isn't a rule for dad. It's a rule for everybody. It applies to everybody. And that what applies to the kids in your home applies to the visitors that come to your home as well. They live by the rules of your home. And make sure that your home then has a welcoming mat out in front, but that welcoming mat has certain consequences. You're going to come to your house. There are rules that you live by within the context of your home and within your family life. Kids have security and strength when there are rules. Kids have a sense of control, or a sense of just belonging to a unified family when there are rules, because we all play by the same rules. We all honor the same expectations. And then there are rewards that come when those expectations are met. There are appreciations that are expressed when the rules are kept. So make sure your family carries out rules and regulations, and you have them written out, and you make sure that they're part of your life, okay? And then just make sure your family has an identity, has a personal identity. You need to be known in your community as a family of faith. You need to be known in your community as a family of values. You need to be known in your community as a family that puts children as important. You need to be known as a home that has rules and regulations. You need to be known in your community, as a family that encourages education and supports education. You just need to be aware that people look to you as a family. Neighbors look to you as a family. Friends look to you as a family. What are you teaching them? What are you standing for? What do you represent in the life of the people that look to you? Because they learn from you, and they are encouraged by you, and they develop their life based on how you live and how they observe you in life that you live. Okay, we'll be back in just a little bit. Take a short break.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
All right, thanks for joining me again, and our last segment now as we continue with Dr. Teach Me to Parent. And today, we're kind of recognizing that the program has now been on a year. And we're into our second year, and I'm just summarizing some of the topics that have been important to people. We've had good viewership. We've had a lot of comments. People watch. People ask questions. People give me feedback. So I've taken the programs that seem to have some popularity to them and just kind of summarizing them today and doing an overview of some of the programs that we've covered over the last year. And if this is the first time, make this part of your Saturday morning, 10 o'clock on this station, as we look at Dr. Teach Me to Parent from different points of view, and from the guests that we have, and from their perspective and their lifestyle that they've lived and what they've learned as a parent, and to share with you. And remember, there's a lot of ads on my program. A lot of people support us. And if you'd like to be one of these supporters, if you're a nonprofit organization or if you're a business and you'd like to be notified and to have our audience know of you and about you, let us know and we'll add you to our list of advertisers. So we'd be glad to have you support the program. We're always looking for people to support the program because that helps get the word out to our valley and beyond as to what effective parenting is all about. So what I'd like to do now before we close is just give you another quote, as we do every week, and finish our program on a quote and just bring it to your attention. It says this: every child has the right to the affection and intelligent guidance of understanding parents. That's a very critical comment, and you see it on the screen there. That's what every child's right is, to have a parent that feels and has affection, but also has intelligent guidance, and to help a child learn lifestyle and learn behavior patterns in life intelligently and to live wisely and to live thoroughly, but to live fully and enjoy life and to make sure life is a comfortable life but a successful life. And that child then goes on living a successful life as an educated person, as a positive individual who has influence upon others and who contributes wherever he or she is, to the school, to the club, to the church, to their friends, to their social groups, whatever. That your kids grew up to be a contributing member to society, to your community, and to the circle in life in which they find themselves. So that's the right of every child, and that you provide that intelligent guidance to your kids. They depend on it, they need it, they want it, and they benefit from it as well. So let me just end with a very tight word for those of you out there that have had some real deep trauma in your life. You've had the death of a loved one, you have the death of a parent, you have the death of a child, you've had divorce, you've had trauma happen to you by accidents, you've had your health jeopardized, you've gone through a variety of stresses and traumas in your life. Those are tough to go through. Make sure you find support in the life of other people. People who have gone through similar experiences, seek them out and talk to them and learn from them. Make them part of your life. Don't isolate. Don't withdraw. Don't go silent. Don't go within yourself. Share your life. Share your story. Share your worries. Share your concerns. Share your fears with somebody else. Let them be a support person in your life. If you've gone through tough times, find somebody to go through that tough time with you, and preferably somebody that's gone through it already and has learned from it and can share and can help you do that successfully. And remember, there's always a lesson to learn from trauma. We don't like trauma. We don't like stress. But behind it, there's another story. And that story is a lesson. That story is something that will help you become stronger and better as a person and wiser, and certainly something that you can then take to share with other people as they go through similar experiences. A trauma is not a lost experience. It's not necessarily all bad. There's always something in every trauma experience that we learn from and that we improve ourselves and we become a better person. And may you find that in the trauma that you're going through even today. Thanks for joining me today. Dr. Teach Me to Parent. We'll see you next Saturday, 10 o'clock, same station right here, CentralValleyTalk.com. Bye for now.
CentralValleyTalk.com